Sometimes the news that's being reported on is really important. I mean, what's happening in Iraq is relevant. But sometimes the news that's coming off is these are just Washington fights. They're fabricated issues, they're phony scandals that are generated. It's all geared towards the next election or ginning up a base. And that must feel frustrating. And it makes people cynical, and it makes people turned off from the idea that anything can get done. Just because it's not reported in the news, I don't want you to think that I'm not fighting for you.
That was President Obama today talking about the so-called phony scandals in Washington. And those remarks come after 2 weeks of very damaging revelations in the IRS investigation and its targeting of conservative groups. It's admitted destroying email evidence. It admitted that it wiped clean the hard drives of the woman at the center of the scandal. And it all comes as a new Fox News poll just out this week suggests that a wide majority of Americans, try 74%, think Congress is onto something in this investigation and needs to keep on investigating, no matter how many people tell them it's a phony scandal. Chris Direwalt is our Fox News digital politics editor. And so now, as we're on the air right now, Chris, President Obama is at a fundraiser at this moment, and he has repeated that claim moments ago, saying, we talk about all these other things that don't have anything to do with what we should be talking about. We talk about phony scandals. We talk about Benghazi. We talk about polls. We talk about the Tea Party and the latest controversy that Washington has decided is important. This is going to be, obviously, his new message. To me, he sounds like he's trying to sound like the Barack Obama of 2008, who was above it all, but now he's in the middle of it all.
Well, and let me just say this, Counselor. It takes a lot of chutzpah to fire up the base, accusing the other side of firing up their base. I mean, that's something. That's kind of a special. That's kind of a special moment. Fonzie has like jumped two sharks. That's pretty amazing.
Look at him go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like, it's hard. When he was candidate Obama, Senator Obama, it was easier to believe when he claimed this moral high ground and complained about this Washington. It's so depressing and it bums you out. It was like, yeah, okay. Now it's like, we're bummed out about you. I mean, it's like these poll numbers are saying, we think your administration did something bad. You can't tell us it's phony. You don't get rid of it just by telling us phony, phony, phony.
Well, on everything from a terrifying Islamist army on the march in northern Iraq to Lois Lerner's hard drive, we have repeated incompetency arguments. Well, we didn't know, we didn't see it, who could know? Government is hard, bureaucracies are hard, Obamacare is hard, everything's hard, we can't do it, and we're just trying to get it together. That played for a while, but now, especially on this IRS case, my goodness, when you, as you point out, have destroyed evidence, when you have noncompliance, when you have people who, as you point out in the poll, everybody in America would like some greater degree of certainty that the IRS is conducting itself in the appropriate way. So this is not a partisan issue. And then you lay on top of that you have a strong suggestion from Ms. Lerner. We see in an email that one of the president's most outspoken critics in the Senate get a little audit treatment, that he get his finances looked through.
Let's just talk about that, because this broke yesterday, and this is extraordinary. Yet another extraordinary claim that somehow, Chris, somehow, a letter that was supposed to go to a Republican Senator, Chuck Grassley, magically wound up instead in the hands of the head of the Determinations Unit, Lois Lerner. How did she get it, and what business of it was it? To start pushing for an audit in response to a piece of mail she didn't even deserve to have her hands on.
Well, and the first question, what I can't believe nobody wanted to know right away was, how on earth would she get any invitation for Chuck Grassley? How on earth does a Republican senator from Iowa's mail get mixed up with a mid-level executive at the Internal Revenue Service?
Doesn't sound anything alike. Lois Lerner, Charles Grassley, nothing. How could the post office screw that up?
And one starts to wonder how she got it. Who gave it to her? Where did that happen? We don't know, because she won't testify. And now we start to see more and more why she doesn't want to testify. But how did she get that? And then my other favorite is they say, well, the email thread ends, and she seems to have accepted the argument from a coworker that, you know, this doesn't really rise to the level, so let it go. So she must have just let it go. Or would somebody who has this strangely obtained invitation and who is looking to bring heat on one of the president's critics in the Senate, do you think she let it drop there? Do you think she has somebody else? Who knows? But this is the best illustration we've had so so far that when you have not just ordinary Americans, if you want to get the Congress ready to do something like push hard for a special prosecutor, you make them the subject.
Right.
Because Congress won't move until they are the ones whose fat's in the fire.
That's right. That's right. This is exactly like how the press wasn't paying attention to some of these executive overreaches until we found out that Eric Holder was spying on the Associated Press and James Rosen. Then the press was like, oh, wait, us? Oh, they're going to spy on, oh, now we care.
That's right. And the Senate didn't care that much about domestic spying on regular, ordinary civilian Americans until it was found out that maybe they were part of that, too. So then they care, and then they get exercised. And when you have offended the sense of entitlement of politicians, you really got a problem on your hands.
You're in serious trouble. Chuck Grassley is now going to be leading the investigation. This tax thing is outrageous. All right, Chris, good to see you.
Good to see you.